Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Let's Play Silent Hill Play Novel. Silent Hill Play Novel is a 2001, let's call it an interactive story. It was originally released for the Game Boy Advance, but it never came out of Japan. Now, it was, of course, developed by Team Silent and published by Konami. And what we're playing is let's call it a fan remake. It's a PC version of the game that fans had come out and made. Look at this, we get this kind of low quality version of the original Silent Hill theme. I have not played this game before. I've never even looked at it. So I don't know a lot about it. But I do know a couple of things. I know that we get to choose between a story with Harry or with Sybil. I think in the original GBA version, you had to beat it with Harry first to unlock Sybil's scenario. Also, Konami did something, I don't know how unusual it was, but they had a download service for their game where you could essentially download, extra content, extra stories, and that sort of thing. And there were additional scenarios for this game using a new character called Andy. Andy was supposed to be one of Harry and Cheryl's neighbors, one of the kids that lived in the neighborhood that, well, I guess for some reason the kid got it in his mind that he was going to sneak into their car, hide in their trunk, so he'd go to Silent Hill with them. I have no idea if that is included in this. I kind of doubt it is, but sometimes you have to work with what you get. That's one of the unfortunate things with the direction that I think video games have been taking over the years, is you tend to lose out on these things as a result. Now, I think what we're going to do is we're going to start with Harry, and we'll play through his scenario as long as we can. I don't know how long this takes, but there is one thing I do know, is there are about 32 different endings. And those endings will happen depending on the different choices we make during the course of the game. So think of it as something like a choose-your-own-adventure game, if you ever read any of those books. It's been a while since I have taken a vacation. I'm driving my Jeep, heading towards the quiet resort town of Silent Hill. The sound of the engine reverberates in the darkness. Due to some slight car trouble earlier, it has become this late. I'm Harry Mason. I'm a run-of-the-mill writer. Her eyes closed, Cheryl sleeps peacefully in the passenger seat. Cheryl is my daughter. She is cheerful and lively, and the occasional carefree smile she shows me makes me feel happy. Now, you can't see my mouse, but I'm currently hovering it over that little icon there. That looks like the Florus. Florus? I used to be able to pronounce that word. The device that Dahlia gives Harry to stop Alessa. I don't have very many relationships with people because of what I do for a living. So Cheryl's existence has become irreplaceable to me. Cheryl was very much looking forward to this trip. Although paved, this is still very much a mountain road. At this hour, there is little reason for any other drivers to be about. I push in the accelerator. There is no light off in the darkness. I can depend only on my headlights. Light reflects off the rearview mirror. It's a motorcycle. There's a motorcycle headed towards the same destination as we are at terrific speed at this late hour. With a roar, the motorcycle effortlessly passes by the side of my Jeep. The seal of the police. Perhaps there's been an accident or something. but I don't recall hearing about an accident or anything on the radio. Cheryl is sleeping. A child should not be awake at this hour. I wonder if she's dreaming about something. Tomorrow I have planned to take her to the amusement park. Maybe she is dreaming about riding the merry-go-round. I glance over at Cheryl's sleeping face and then return my eyes forward. The lighted area of the road almost appears to be belched out from the darkness as it moves towards me? Something enters my field of view. It's the motorcycle from before. It's lying on its side on the shoulder of the road. No doubt about it, it's the same motorcycle that just passed me. There is no sign of the driver. It looks like the driver smashed into the surface of the rocks by the side of the road while trying to avoid some kind of obstacle, and thus that part of the motorcycle has been destroyed. I carefully check the way in which my vehicle is heading. However, I don't see anything that could be an obstacle to advance in the area illuminated by the headlights. A strange atmosphere creeps in around me. The radio reception begins to become erratic. Perhaps I should turn back? But my foot persistently pushes down on the accelerator with no intention of letting go. You can no longer turn back now. Something murmurs within me. Please increase your speed some more. Someone murmurs within me. Cheryl's eyes are closed. She is dreaming. I know that I should be awake. But what is this uneasy feeling? I feel as if my body is not totally my own. It's like some strange being that is not me, is controlling me, like I'm floating. My eyelids are heavy. As the steering wheel leaves my hand, it creates the illusion of setting the course on its own. Freezing cold. Uneasiness. Almost like being ready to fall asleep. I'm just barely conscious, and now at my limit to maintain even that. Ah! When I saw the human figure on the road, I cut the wheel hard, and then there was nowhere else for my Jeep and I to go, but down into the darkness below the cliff. The silence pierces my ears. As the wind blew, it was accompanied by piercing cold. Where am I? I can feel light faintly passing through my eyelids. I don't seem to be hurt. That much is clear to me because I don't feel any pain in my body. No, perhaps I've suffered an injury that doesn't cause any pain. I slowly try opening my heavy eyelids. Out-of-season snow is pouring into the town. Other than the sound of droplets of ice hitting the ground, there's nothing else to be heard. Silent Hill. That is what is assuredly written on the sign by the side of the road. Without realizing it, Cheryl and I have reached our destination. All of my memories up to that point are gone. The wind is blowing in. When I take a look next to me, I am shocked. The passenger door has been left open. Cheryl is nowhere to be seen. Silent Hill. This town, which should be just a resort area, appears to become just like a ghost town for some reason. Or maybe it was waiting for us to arrive. Or perhaps the town just nestled up to us. So now I am alone. Cheryl is not here. While I was sleeping, no, while I was knocked out, Cheryl opened the passenger door and stepped out alone into this tourist spot that is now ruled by an unsettling silence. And then she left me to head somewhere. I tightly closed my jacket around my neck and set out on foot in search of Cheryl. I wonder what in the world happened here. Nothing makes any sense. The silence, the out-of-season snow, and the strangest of all, the entire town is wrapped in a thick fog. Okay, so it's time to make a decision. We can either choose Cheryl's destination is, or B, there is no one in the town. Now, I think most of the time I'll just make my own decisions, but maybe sometimes I'll ask you that are watching live to help me. Maybe we'll take a vote on which choice we should make. But right now I think we're going to choose Cheryl's destination is. I begin to run. Only the sounds of my footsteps echo in the surroundings. Just where in the world is Cheryl gone? Did someone lead her away? Various concerns run through my mind. Oh, there she is. I suddenly get the feeling that I heard footsteps other than my own. So I stop moving right away to check it out. Through the thick fog I can see the figure that is about the size of a child. Cheryl! Without a thought I cry out. The figure doesn't move at all. Except to run away. At the moment I began to move slowly towards the figure, it starts to run. I fiercely chase after the figure. That's definitely Cheryl. Even though it is faint, I would not mistake someone else for Cheryl. However, no matter how much I run, I cannot catch up. Instead, the figure is gradually getting further and further away from me. The figure puts on speed as if it is gliding through the air. The figure appears to be absorbed by the fog as it begins to disappear. In order not to lose it, I run with all my strength while keeping my vision centered on the figure. Then I notice that I have come to an alley surrounded by buildings. Uh-oh. Getting dark. I don't know how, but it was like a cover was placed over the sky, which had provided light until now, and the area has become engulfed in darkness. From the darkness I can hear multiple footsteps coming this way. Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys in the chat. Should we take a look? Or do we get out of here? Okay, I'm getting suggestions to get out of here. Now we know in the actual game of Silent Hill, Harry kept going forward and to look for his daughter, so let's see what happens if we decide to get out of here. I've got to get away. But I can't go back the way I came, because that eerie presence is back there. So I move further in. I can only move gradually through the narrowing pitch-black alley by feeling around with my hands. But I only ended up reaching a dead end. Metal fences surround the area, and they are so high that I don't think I can climb over them. They are coming from behind. I stood ready. What are they? With beast-like rage, they close in right where I am. Ah! And then my vitality is sucked away by these strangely shaped monsters until I finally lose consciousness. Sybil Bennett. She's a full-time police officer working in the neighboring town of Brams. There is no one else in the cafe other than her and Harry. She took a seat at the counter and waited for Harry to awaken. Oh, there he is. I suddenly awoke. Where is this place? Why am I here? Was I brought here by someone? There's no boundary between dream and reality, just confusion. As I lay on the bench seat in the cafe, my eyes slowly begin to focus. The woman sitting at the counter stands and folds her arms. She walks over and looks down at me. And there is Sybil. She is wearing a police uniform. The woman smiles a little bit, as she appears to be relieved that I have regained consciousness. Looks like you have come around. Who are you? I try talking to the unfamiliar woman. I'm Sybil. Sybil Bennett. I'm here because all the communications with this town suddenly went dead, and so I came to investigate. I'm Harry Mason. I brought my daughter to this town for some sightseeing. But on the way here there was an accident, and I lost consciousness. Oh yes, Sybil. Have you seen a little girl in this town, have you? A little girl? No, I haven't seen her. When I came to after the accident, my daughter was nowhere to be seen. The passenger door was open and she was gone. Cheryl, sorry, my daughter's name is Cheryl. She's a timid person, so it's hard to imagine that she headed out into this weird town alone. Plus, I was there in the driver's seat. And since she gave me no warning, it just doesn't make sense. Are you familiar with this area? There's no sign of anyone. And what is going on with the snow this time of year? Just what in the world has happened to this town? I said all of this while breathing deeply. I'm afraid I don't know either. I still haven't seen anyone other than you. It's like the town is as silent as a graveyard, left without even the means to contact any neighboring towns. I see. You also had an accident, right? I thought it was a good idea to head to the police station in this town, alone on my motorcycle, but I guess I was going a little too fast. A girl suddenly jumped out into the road. I'm pretty sure it was a girl. I almost hit her. I cut the handlebars hard in order to avoid her. After that, I can barely remember anything. When I came to, I was lying in the street in front of this cafe. So naturally, I came in here to get out of the snow. And then I found you sleeping there. I was having some kind of terrible dream. As for if I made it here on my own, I don't remember at all. Just what in the world has happened in this town? What is going on with everything? Well, the situation is definitely strange. I'll head back to Brams for reinforcements, and then return here. How about you? Sybil stood and fixed her collar with resolute fortitude. I've got to go look for Cheryl. There's no way I can just leave her alone. Oh, there's Sybil giving us a firearm. I see. Well, I'll give you this then. You never know what might happen under these circumstances. If you feel threatened, then pull the trigger without hesitating. Alright, so we got choices again. We can either choose A and take it, or we can choose B and say no. You know, someone made a good point in the chat. They'll probably just force you to take the gun anyways. So we're going to say thanks. I hope I don't have to use it. Having never handled a handgun before, I am surprised by how heavy it is. But will you be alright? I'm not like the average girls around here. I have undergone proper training. Sybil placed her hand on the exit door, but then she turns and faces me again. Harry, don't go shooting me by mistake or anything. I haven't had any training on how to stop bullets. She smiled after saying this, and then disappeared into the thick fog. After being left alone in the cafe, I gazed at the handgun Sybil gave me for a little while. And then I thought about Cheryl, who had disappeared in this town. The figure I saw in the fog. That was definitely Cheryl. But she didn't answer my calls, and she was quite possibly moving away from me. I don't understand. I'm getting a bit mixed up. Still, the one thing I know for sure is that Cheryl has vanished in this town. All I can do is look for her. I may not have any knowledge of the surroundings or any clues, but I won't find Cheryl if I stay here. I stood up energetically and placed my hand on the cafe door. Uh-oh. Something is making noise. Alright, it's somewhere inside the cafe. It's somewhere outside the cafe. Well, we remember from the main game that it was the radio inside the cafe. So let's look around inside the cafe. I look around the cafe. I walk in the direction the noise is coming from. And then I pick up the source of the noise. Radio? What's with that radio? Yo. At that moment, the window glass shattered with a thunder, and a giant bird-like creature flew into the cafe. Alright. No, it's not a bird. It's a creature with reddish-brown skin that looks as if it had been burnt. In its belligerent, pale green eyes, it is clear that my life is in danger. Alright. So I think this is another case where we're going to pick from our three choices. So do we hide under a table? Do we use our handgun, or do we make a run for it? Alright, well, everyone's telling me to go with the handgun. So let's see what happens. Damn! I firmly held the handgun that I had just received, quickly pointed it at the creature, and pulled the trigger. I'm not used to using guns, so some of my shots hit the ceiling. Alright, its vulnerable spot is its body, or aiming at the wings will bring it down. You know what, let's shoot at the body, center mass, because Harry's not good with guns, and taking shots at the wing is probably a bad idea. That's it, I must set my aim. Its body. When it spreads its wings, at that moment, when its body is undefended, I will. It swings its large, arm-like wings down at me, and using that weapon, it just misses my neck. This is my chance. The target is its body. Mumbling, I tell myself that. However, I can't fix my aim very well. My hands are shaking. As my third shot pierces it, it's finally lost its life force and fell to the floor like a rag. What the hell? This is not a dream. What's happening to this place? Only the sound of my fist hitting the table echoes in the cafe. At my feet, the still warm corpse of the creature lies in the center of a pool of oddly colored liquid. After leaving the cafe, I decide first to head towards that alley from before. Oh, there's a couple of them. Black figures fly about in the heavens as if searching for prey. Then I come to realize a constant. The static on the radio changes based on their movements. The closer the monsters come to me, the louder the static gets. My sight is hindered by the fog, and on top of that, the weather is so bad that snow is falling. So this is extremely important information. I run through the snow that appears to have no intention of stopping. Increasing my speed each time the static comes in on the radio, I proceed into the fog. Following the thin thread of my memory, I finally arrive at the alley from before. The evil atmosphere has dissipated and light pours in along with snow from in between the buildings. I move into the alley and it dead ends after a bit. At the end of the alley I see a familiar sketchbook that appears to have been thrown away. The likeness of me that Cheryl drew is on the cover of the sketchbook. This is definitely Cheryl's. I try opening it. Inside the following is written in red ink. To school. Along Levin Street, I slip through the back door of a house that had a doghouse and head for the school. The surroundings gradually fill with darkness, and only the flashlight on my chest illuminates this strange street. There it is. There's the entrance to Midwich Elementary School, the part of the first Silent Hill game that I think is the most intense and unnerving. I pass through the entrance to the elementary school grounds. When I open the door that leads into the school building, I see that even more darkness is waiting for me. Is it possible that Cheryl scribbled those letters to school? I can't be sure whether Cheryl is here or not. It's just that I happen to have a clue other than that sketchbook. A guide map of the school has been tacked onto the side wall of the entrance with a rusted thumbtack. After removing the map from the wall, I place it in my pocket and push open the heavy door that leads into the interior of the school building. I don't know, but something about that feels really creepy. My footsteps and the creaking of the hallway They sound like screams as their reverberations rock my eardrums. I had been walking carefully, step by step. Without realizing it, I had begun to run. There was no sign of anyone. The silent innards of the school building are dark, and with only the flashlight on my chest, it is impossible for me to see any of the details. Cheryl doesn't have a flashlight, so if she came in here and got lost, then she probably wouldn't even be able to walk around. Since I have my flashlight turned on, she should be able to notice me easily. At least I have that modest hope. Then I notice that I have come to the entrance to the music room. I place my hand on the heavy door. Oh, and there's that piano. The piano with a silent bird puzzle. When I open the door, I see that the inside of the room is large. There is a grand piano placed in its center. As I sit on the chair of the piano, I am shocked. The seat is still warm, as if someone had just been sitting here a few minutes before. Cheryl's smile runs through the back of my mind. Cheryl often played the cheap upright piano in our home. It had become nice background music when I was working. Perhaps Cheryl had come to the music room. Yup, even the same bloody fingerprints. I gently open the cover over the piano keys. I notice that there is red mixed in among the black and white. I try touching the liquid. It had a lukewarm feel. It is still holding heat. It is definitely blood. My heart pounds in my chest like an alarm bell. The large amount of blood spilled on the keys. If this is Cheryl's blood, then she may no longer be alive. I wipe the stain off my hand and onto my jeans, stand and leave the music room. At the same time I closed the door, I thought I heard someone scream. Maybe it was just my imagination. I walk down the hallway. The sleet mixture of snow pounds hard against the window facing the courtyard. I take a look through a window down at the dark courtyard. The not-so-large courtyard is dotted with areas in which withering plants are growing. In addition to that, an old clock tower is faintly visible. From here I cannot determine what time the clock is pointing to. Wait. Something appears to be wiggling about in the darkness. An animal? No. It's dark, and I can't see so well, but it is slowly moving on two legs. It appears to be searching for prey. At that moment, the radio I had chipped to my chest suddenly begins to make noise. As I return my sight to the hallway, a sharp pain runs through my thigh. When I look down, I see that the tip of those long claws are piercing my thigh. Those oddly shaped monsters. They are posed like they want to hug me and have gathered around my waist. They are about to bite me. Alright, well, in the version of Silent Hill that we played, we encountered the Grey Children in the elementary school. But this here looks more like a mumbler. Mumbler were these kind of teddy bear shaped looking monsters that we would meet, I think, later in the old Silent Hill section, over by like the amusement park, and even in the sewers. Alright. Now, I don't know if he means that there are multiple monsters or if there are just one. Now, what I normally do in the elementary school is I try to avoid the enemies. So we're going to push the monster away. Well, my neighbors are deciding to be nice and noisy tonight. So I hope that doesn't bother anybody too much. With my right hand, I push its head part with force and knock it away. and then totters and falls down on its face. That's when I noticed that I had been completely surrounded by those monsters. I ready the gun. I fix my aim on their heads and pull the trigger with my trembling index finger. I continue to shoot as each one of them appears. The smoke from the gunpowder began to fill the air around me, so I placed one hand over my mouth. Even after the noise from the radio had stopped, I could only stand there, paralyzed in utter amazement among their corpses. Is Cheryl all right? She shouldn't have been carrying anything that could be used as a weapon. I began running. I can't just stand around. There's not a moment to lose. Cheryl is waiting for me. Wait a minute. Suddenly my vision becomes hazy, or something, and I rub my eyes. When I look back, I see that all the bodies of the monsters have unexpectedly vanished. What? Was I hallucinating or something? I pull the guide map out of my inner pocket and shine the flashlight on it. And then I confirm that there is a boiler room located in the basement. My feet naturally begin to take me there. Up, down the stairs, Silent Hill style. I descend the stairs to the basement, taking one step at a time. A school building without light? As I move forward, I am beset on all sides by absolute darkness. As I head towards a new fear and new enemies, my feet have no intention of stopping their advance. But oddly enough, I don't have any sense of justice. I just want to make sure that Cheryl is safe, to catch her in my arms. That is my only goal. The boiler is not running. If I simply press a switch in front of me, then this eerie machine should begin to operate. However, I just stand still. I try pushing the switch, but the boiler doesn't do anything at all. So I try opening the switchboard cover below the switch. It appears that I must somehow supply power from the main power supply to the boiler. The power supply is on the right. From the left of the switchboard, a thick pipe extends out and is connected to the boiler. Oh boy, a puzzle. Okay, maybe not a puzzle. Got it. I have an instinctive feeling that by pushing this switch that something outrageous may happen. Although at the same time, I also notice my daughter Cheryl's scream running through my heart, like a sense of duty that makes me feel I must push the switch. I slowly push the switch in. The entire school building shudders as if it were a giant ship. The entire elementary school building appears as if it has been swallowed by Cheryl's heart. As she stands alone in the darkness, I understand that I must do something. To the courtyard. The darkness softly whispers to me. The clock tower looks to be about tall enough to reach the third floor of the school. At its base there's a small door about big enough for an adult to enter while bent down. The door solemnly opens. After opening, the door seems to beckon the one standing in front of it to enter with an irresistible mental energy. I cannot resist that power. As I enter, the door closes with a hopeless thunder. Inside the clock tower, a physiologically loathsome stench hung in the air. However, the smile of my beloved daughter in my heart lessened my uneasiness, and lets me forget my fear, if even only for a moment. Reassured, I place my foot on the ladder leading underground, and with my greatest motive, called love. The inside finally became a small passage about large enough for an adult. I run. Trusting that I will see her smile ahead, I run forward, stomping on concrete stained with the smell of death. Once I climb the ladder at the end of the tunnel, there will be no going back. I mutter Cheryl's name one more time. The depressing sound of the door closing echoes through the courtyard. Where am I? A raw, warm breeze brushes past my cheek. The view lets me know that this is like a completely different world from the school I was just in. Once again I think, where am I? I descend the small stairs leading away from the clock tower and become even more convinced. An extremely religious-looking design has been drawn in the center of the courtyard. Within a large double circle, a triangle has been placed, and with that, a strange pattern that looks like hieroglyphics has been drawn. I don't remember this being here before. I mutter. This is definitely the school I was just in. The placement of the trees and the construction of the building. However, an overpowering feeling of nausea rises up throughout my body. A revolting, horrible smell, like that of the stench of cutting in the rotten meat, thickly wafts through the air, and is nearly visible to the eye. I begin to run. I can no longer bear to stay in this spot. By the time I place my hand on the door that leads into the school building, I no longer had the strength to tell how long I was running. Maybe it was only for an instant. Okay, now we're in the other world, Midwich Elementary. The school building has dramatically changed. Metal-grated floors, blood-covered walls, corpse-like puppets hanging everywhere. It's like a nightmarish scene in which everything is isolated from the real world. In spite of that, I run. I am searching for Cheryl. The unpleasant metallic sounds of my footsteps resonate throughout the inside of the school. And then I open the door to the teacher's room. Perhaps the door is not installed correctly, as it took me several forceful tries to open it. Once I enter the room, I am shocked. Desks are strewn about, and a raw, rotten stench rules the room. Well, does he call the police to get help? Or does he call home, where no one should be? Well, already a couple of times in the chat, people have said, call the police, get the police. So we're going to call the police for help. With slight hope, I pick up the telephone receiver. Just as I had guessed. The depressing busy signal just repeats over and over. As I gently hang up the telephone receiver, I realize that all means for contacting the outside world have already been lost. I must find Cheryl right away and escape from this insane world with her. I begin to leave the room. My heart rapidly contracts. A mechanical bell sound echoes throughout the room. I nervously approach the telephone and once again pick up the receiver. Daddy? Help me. It's Cheryl. There is no mistaking it. I firmly press the receiver against my ear. Daddy? Where are you? Cheryl! Is this Cheryl? At that moment, Cheryl's voice was replaced with a busy signal. I knew it, I think. Cheryl is here. Being located in the residential area, many children probably come to this school. The interior of the elementary school is larger than I imagined, including classrooms. There are a lot of rooms, so locating Cheryl will be extremely difficult. If Cheryl wasn't brought here by someone, and instead came here of her own free will, then perhaps she might be in that one room. What one room, Harry? I spin around, run to the stairs at the end of the hall, and then sprint up them. I have come to the library. My eyes are drawn to an open book. It was... Oh, right, so now we get to pick what the book was. Now, in the main game, it was a children's book. It was a fable about a lizard that couldn't be killed. But we could also pick B, a pharmacological book, or C, a dictionary of religious science. So what do you think we should pick? All right, I'm getting told to pick the Dictionary of Religious Science, so... Oh, but we have other people saying pharmaceutical. I don't know. Anyone else? Anyone else want to chime in? All right, everyone has finally decided that we're going to go with B, a pharmacological... B, the medicine book. Ooh, I wonder if this will be about White Claudia. A pharmacological book. Oh, it is about White Claudia. A perennial herb found near water. Reaches a height of 30 to 40 centimeters. Oblong leaves, white blossoms. Seeds contain hallucinogens. Ancient record shows it was used for religious ceremonies. The hallucinogenic effect was key. The next page is all blurred. Tis. From the above-mentioned White Claudia, that has to perform our... It is a viscous liquid, red, color, and is a minister remedy. Illness for which the cause is not... and become gripped with the sense that my actions have been controlled by someone this entire time. Well, they kind of were. Coming to the library, seeing that specific page in the open book. Even whatever it is that I must do now, it is the decision that is out of my hands. Everything that has happened has been in someone's hands. I have gradually come to understand this. Even still, I probably cannot determine my own course. I accept the direction of the unseen one, to whom I must obey. In order to find Cheryl, there is no other alternative. I now know where it is I need to go. As I journey there, I walk firmly, stepping forward one step at a time. I descend the staircase from which uncomfortably warm air flows, and find an elevator at its base that invites me to descend even further, as its doors slowly open. Once I enter, its doors close, and in the next moment, with a rusty clunk sound, the elevator begins to descend at a high rate of speed. Just how far down is it going? all I can do is go with the flow. Okay, I thought we were actually going to nowhere. But we're in the school's boiler room. Gradually, the elevator and I are enveloped in hot, humid air. The elevator stops, and I step off as its doors open. Beyond the short passage, a dazzling light emitted from a small room which has been waiting for my arrival. Oh, and there it is. Now, I forget the name of this giant lizard, but that was the first boss from the first Silent Hill. In the center, the fires of hell burned, and everything made it look like the room was meant for prayer. And then, it was there. It slowly moved around the enormous scone from which the flames and ash rose. The lizard looks to have suddenly mutated. Its outer shell is a mucous membrane type. It just stares at me, and with surprisingly comfortable speed, it looks for a chance to attack. Here. Alright. Well, I don't know how much ammo we have, so let's put some distance between it and us. I was overwhelmed by its size. I've got to escape. I don't stand a chance with that feeble weapon in my pocket. I look for an escape route. However, the entrance I came through is now closed by a thick, solid metal fence, without any opening which I could slide through. I cannot escape. At that moment, a part of my memory was suddenly awakened. Definitely. Was it in the library or was it in the teacher's room? Now, in the library, we read the book about White Claudia, and in the teacher's room, we got the call from Cheryl. So, what do you think Harry is thinking back to? Is he thinking back to the library, or is he thinking to the teacher's room? Okay, most people are saying we should go with the teacher's room. So that's what we're going to pick. What did Harry remember in the teacher's room? In the teacher's room, the phone call I received. Cheryl's cries dance about in my memory. That's right, I cannot let myself die here. Cheryl is waiting somewhere for me to rescue her. She is still alive. I raised my head. Its hard scales shine in the light from the hell's fire. It must have a weak point. If I can just hit that. I stood my ground and waited for its attack. I let it draw as close as I could. Inside its mouth. If I can just fire blindly in there. Ew. It had drawn close, and then its mouth sprung open. It looked as if it was planning to swallow me whole. My fingers trembled at its size. I could no longer hesitate. I aimed at the inside of its mouth and quickly pulled the trigger. Over and over, the sounds of gunshots rang out from my weapon for as long as I had ammunition. And then I lost consciousness. When I came to, I found myself in the middle of a dark room. Where is this? I wondered to myself. The monster from before has vanished. I heavily stood up and waited motionless for a bit, until my eyes came into focus. Somehow this looks to be the boiler room. It is oddly quiet. Maybe I was dreaming. My very exhausted body seems to have also recovered somehow. The low hum of the boiler strangely calms my nerves. And then I sense the presence of a person and shift my gaze. There was a girl standing there. She was wearing dark blue clothing, and her light brown hair was neatly combed. The girl was just staring right at me. Once I noticed her and began to step forward, she completely disappeared, as if her body just dissolved in the air in the room. I was alone in the room again. What was that? After standing for a bit, I let out a long breath and then placed my hand on the door at the entrance. See, now the school looks much less creepy. Sunlight is shining into the whole of the school building. As unusual, the snow is still outside, but I am gripped with a strange sense of relief, as if cancerous cells had just been removed from me. Filled with relief, I slowly walked towards the exit of the school building. And then I learned that Cheryl is not here. From the loud sounds of the church bells that seemed to call out to me. Alright, so I guess just like in the normal game, we're going to follow the bell ringing to the church. I begin to run towards the church on a road half covered in mud. Snow falls above my head, some of which freezes my hair as chilly air flows by. When I reach the church, I push open the heavy door without hesitation. Ah, and there she is. A cross is mounted on the front wall. Long benches are lined up on both sides of a small walkway. It was as if time had stopped for this familiar-style church. In front of the altar, a sly-looking woman with cold eyes looked down at me with an eerie grin. As I walked up to her, stepping one step at a time, she gazed at me without blinking. She looked as if she had predicted that I would arrive. "Were you ringing that bell?" The woman snorted with a humph. "I've been expecting you." It was foretold by gyromancy. I love that. I love that they kept the gyromancy line. Oh, man. Alright, for those of you who do or do not know, and I may have mentioned this in my main Silent Hill video, but gyromancy is divining and fortune-telling by the spinning of people or objects. So, for example, a person would spin around in a circle, and the circle would have symbols or words or letters on it, and they would keep spinning until they collapsed. And depending on where their hands or their arms collapsed, that would be the message that they received. Now, while that's the form I'm most familiar with, it could also have been like an object. Like, think of a top or a dreidel, and you spin one of those, then it lands on a particular side with a particular message on it. That's the idea of gyromancy. What are you talking about? I knew you'd come. You want the girl, right? The girl? You're talking about Cheryl. My eyes grew wide. I see everything. You know something. Tell me. Stay back. The woman held the palm of her hand out at me, and then lowered her chin in a way that suggested, "Please calm down. Nothing is to be gained by floundering about at random. You must follow the path of the hermit, concealed by the flowers." What? What are you talking about? I asked once more without hiding my bewilderment. Here, the flowers. The florist? The flowers? I can't pronounce it quite right. A cage of peace. It can break through the walls of darkness and counteract the wrath of the underworld. These will help you. Make haste to the hospital before it is too late. The woman held up a strange object, and then softly placed it on the desk on top of the altar. Wait, don't go yet. Her story was unclear, and I don't understand it. I will. Well, should we believe her? This weird old woman that just showed up? Or do we not accept her story so quickly? Alright, most people are telling me not to listen to her. Although those who have played the game and know what's going on are saying no, obey her. But I'm going to have to go with not carelessly believing her. I thought that insane woman's behavior and the details of her story were questionable. All that remains in the church is the reverberations of the sound of a door closing. I go after that woman. I am convinced that woman definitely knows some secrets of some sort. However, the knob on the door that she went through will not turn at all. It must be locked from the other side. Damn! Now I'm the only one left in the church. Almost as if taken from a nightmare, this space has heat. This warmth, it feels like it is protecting me from something. That is the best way to describe the heat. I walk away from the door and begin walking to the altar that the woman was at. The object that the woman was just holding has been placed there. Yep, there it is. And a little key, too. The florus, or the flauros. That is certainly what the woman had called this. I try picking it up. Then I place it back on top of the desk right away. It is power. The overwhelming power of the gods rests inside this four-sided object. It was a sensation like an electrical current passing into the palm of my hand, and then power moving through every nook and cranny in my body. I pick it up once more. This time I take it calmly into my hand and then place it in my pocket. For some reason I am convinced that this object will help me find Cheryl. I pick up the key that was next to the flauros and open the door to the church. I rush out into the heatless snow world again. Hospital. That woman certainly said something about one. Almekia Hospital. The only hospital I could find on the map that was one. I could see my breath as I exhaled while I headed towards the entertainment district. The bridge to the entertainment district has been raised so that boats can pass by it in the river below. In other words, it is split in the middle, and it is in a raised position that make it look like a Japanese katakana character. I enter the nearby drawbridge control room and place the key I was holding into the control panel, and forcefully turn it to the right. While emitting a sound like an old woman laughing, the bridge finally begins to lower, inviting me into the entertainment district. I'm actually, at this point, I'm kind of surprised at how much of the game, the original Silent Hill, that they kept in here. Like, for example, we stopped at the bridge control room. We actually went through the clock tower in the school. After crossing the bridge, I shudder. The temperature is gradually declining. Or maybe it is just a result of the thing inside me that produces nervousness and fear. On this wide road, there is not a single motorcycle running. I'm running down the center of it. If I continue forward, Almekia Hospital should be on the right. There it is. An old building appears in the thick fog. On the signboard, Almekia appears in faded letters. Its eeriness caused me to hesitate for an instant, but the next moment I placed my hands on the cold gate. I opened the heavy hospital gate and then opened the door directly to my right that has entrance written on it. The inside of the hospital is wrapped in silence. To the left, there is a reception area in which various papers are neatly placed on a shelf. Waiting benches are lined up along the back of the hall, and a television is pointed at them. I do not feel the presence of any patients or even any people. Only faint light pours in through the windows from the cloudy sky. The hall is filled with a trace scent of alcohol, which penetrates my nose. I begin walking. After passing through the waiting room, I reach a long corridor. I open the door marked Examination Room. Oh, hello. At almost the exact same time as I opened the door, a man inside jumped out of his chair. He's holding a handgun in his right hand. Alright, so do we hide behind the door, or do we counterattack? Alright, so everybody has the same idea as I do. Hide behind the door, because I can easily see ourselves getting killed if we try to shoot back. Wait! I hold my right hand out and try to stop the man. Hold it! Stop! Don't shoot! Wait, I'm not here to fight. The man calms down and lowers his ready right arm. My name is Harry Mason. I'm in this town on vacation. I said all this without pausing, and then the man took a deep breath and began to speak. Thank God. Another human being. Do you work here? I was truly relieved. Silent Hill, which has become a habitat for strange monsters. Those words showed his candid questioning of the situation. I'm Dr. Michael Kaufman. I work for this hospital. So maybe you can tell me what's going on. That man who calls himself Kaufman once again stirs in the chair he's sitting in. I really can't say. I was taking a nap in the staff room. When I woke up, it was like this. Everyone seems to have disappeared. And it's snowing out, this time of year. Ooh. He looks at the floor of the examination room. There, on the floor, the corpse of a still warm monster lay on its side. Something's gone seriously wrong. Did you see those monsters? Have you ever seen such aberrations? Ever hear of such things? You and I both know creatures like that don't exist. Yeah. And then I turned to face him as I realized something. Have you seen a little girl anywhere? I'm looking for my daughter. Short, black hair. Nope, she's only 7. Short, black hair. She's missing. I'm sorry. But all those monsters around, I highly doubt that she's... Sorry, I didn't mean to alarm you. Your wife, she's here with you? She died 4 years ago. Now it's just me and my daughter. I see. I'm sorry. Well, I better be going. I can't just sit around here doing nothing. So long. Good luck out there. The examination room door shuts powerlessly. Dr. Michael Kaufman. Oddly enough, I have completely memorized that name. Huh? I suddenly noticed there's something on the floor that looks like a white scrap of paper. What is this? I pick it up. Letters have been disorderly scribbled on it. Arrival tomorrow morning. Be prepared. What is this? Alright, so at this point we can either check to see if there's anything else, or we can go after Kaufman. I'm kind of feeling like we should check to see if there's anything else. But what do you all think? Alright, it's a little split, but more people are suggesting check, and I kind of want to check anyways, so we're going to go with that. I carefully look around on the floor, but it doesn't appear that anything else interesting has been dropped. Yeah, sure, why not? I look all around the examination room. Up until a short time ago, this was just a normal room in a hospital, with its various instruments and tools about, each aptly arranged per function. Only people have been erased from this normal scene, making this situation unnatural. I leave the examination room. I pass through the medical room and reach a planked floor corridor that silently extends in an L shape. I moved forward and found that there was an elevator with a large door at the end of the corridor. I try pressing the button beside it. Nothing happens. It looks like the power is off. There are several doors in the corridor. I begin opening each one in order. I open the door marked meeting room, head inside and close the door behind me. A large table rests in the center of this room. I notice there is something glittering on top of it. I grasp the light green key and leave the room and once again step into the chilly corridor. The next room appears to be the kitchen. I guess that the food for patients is probably prepared here. Various bronze cooking utensils are neatly arranged in order on the stainless steel countertop. It does not appear that anything terribly important is here. I carefully look through the various cooking utensils. Inside a large pot there is nothing at all. While continuing to search to see if there might be some clues here or not, I noticed that on the far wall various objects have been scattered about. I carefully move forward on the wet floor as not to slip. Something is there. I reach my hand towards the thing in front of me. Alright, so, at this point we can either pick up a kitchen knife or a plastic bottle. Now, if you've played the original Silent Hill, you probably know why I want to go for the plastic bottle. But I'm going to leave this one up to you. What do you guys think? Should we take the bottle or the knife? Well, it's pretty much unanimous. Almost everybody says get the bottle, so that's what we're going to do. I moved past one of the sinks and noticed an empty plastic bottle sitting on the end of the counter. Perhaps this might come in handy for something. I mutter this and grab the empty plastic bottle. Then I leave the kitchen. After leaving the kitchen, I head right and place my hand on the first door that I come to. I notice the words "Director's Office" out of the corner of my eye as I open the door. From inside the room, a strong stench overflows outward and causes me to feel dizzy. Someone has ransacked the room. Behind the desk that probably belongs to the director, several bottles have been broken, leaving red and blue liquid spilled all over the floor. If I use the plastic bottle, so we can scoop up red liquid, we can scoop up blue liquid, or we can scoop up a mixture of purple liquid. Now, assuming that this follows the same story as the original Silent Hill, we want that red liquid. But what happens if we take the blue liquid or mixture of purple liquid? What do you guys think? Alright, well, someone said they think this decision determines the ending. Well, in the original Silent Hill, getting or missing the red fluid can change the ending of the game. There are 5 endings to the original Silent Hill, and getting the red liquid will help you affect the ending. Alright, well, most people are yelling at me, get the red, get the red. So, you know what? We're going to go with the red then. I get out the plastic bottle and use a fragment of the bottom section of one of the broken bottles to pour the vermilion liquid into it. The sticky liquid drips into the plastic bottle. The last drop lingered. But once it finally hit the surface of the liquid, already inside the plastic bottle, I tightly closed the cap and left the director's office. I crept out into the corridor once more and stood in front of the door that was closest to the elevator. I opened the door, and the reverberations of the sound of it opening and then closing shake my eardrums. The walls are made of concrete, and a few steps in the staircase leading to the basement extends like the folds inside the body of a snake. It is dark and difficult to see, but it looks like there's a door at the bottom of the staircase. Be brave, I mutter to myself. Leaving only the echoes of my footsteps, I descend the staircase to hell, one step at a time. And then I open the door leading to darkness. A world without light. I could see that electricity was most likely out in the entire hospital. I pressed the switch on the flashlight on my chest and tried lighting the area. It is creepy, and yet there is nothing noticeably out of place. Chilly air drifts from the cold concrete, and it seems as if touching it would completely rob my body of its warmth. While moving through the corridor, I try opening the doors as I come to them. Of them, one opens with a creak. Emergency generator is written on the machine that occupies most of the room. To reach the second floor and above it did not look like there was any method other than using the elevator. So without hesitation, I turn on the machine. I immediately head for the elevator. I press the up button. The heavy sound of the mortar and the sound of metal parts coming into contact with each other almost sounds like intertwined screams. With a ding, the elevator stops, and its doors slowly open. The inside of the elevator is large. It seems to be about big enough to accept 3 hospital beds. Buttons for each floor are lined up to the right of the elevator door. They are marked 3, 2, 1, and B from top down. First, I head to the second floor. However, after I step off the elevator, I find that the door connected to the corridor that leads to the rooms on this floor is locked. With no alternative, I try heading to the 3rd floor, but I find that it is in the same state. Well, what now? I have already tried moving to every floor. With nothing else to do, I re-enter the elevator, and then I could not believe my eyes. Of the buttons for each floor, 3 was definitely the highest floor just before. In spite of that, a new 4 button has been added. The elevator doors open with a familiar sound, and I step out onto the 4th floor. Again, I think. A condition extremely similar to that which I encountered after passing through the basement in the clock tower at the elementary school was present right in front of me. And now we are in the otherworld Almechia. Dark red rusted walls, metal grated floors, and a ringing in my ears that seemed to creep up from the depths of hell is a menace to my mental state. I open the door in front of me, and a long corridor extends beyond it. I very carefully move forward while keeping my eyes fixed on the wall. Could Cheryl be here? The only way to find out is to search this place. Oh, and there's the static going. Huh? I can hear something in the darkness in front of me. It sounds like the groan of something dragging on the ground. The owner of that groan is slowly closing in on me, but I cannot see what it is for sure with the faint light of my flashlight. I grab my gun! It is probably not human. I firmly grip the gun, position my fingers on the trigger, and begin to walk towards it with the gun ready beside my face. Eventually something white enters my field of vision. No, this is not Pyramid Head. This is a puppet nurse. I adjust the aim of my flashlight on my chest with my hand and shine light on it. A white figure appeared, which is stooped over like an old woman. It looked to have undergone a grotesque change. The monster had a very large hump on its back, which twitches and moves as if it were alive. In one hand it holds a knife, which it waves as it approaches me. In the instant I readied my gun, the monster began to run. By the time I realized this, it slashed at me. I instantly dodged the attack, and thanks to that, only my clothes were slashed, and I only had a scratch on my side. I supposed I was lucky. Damn! I kick it in the face with the bottom of my shoe, and it falls down on its back. Then it begins to stand for its next attack. I close my left eye and steady my aim. Even after one shot hits, its movement does not change at all. I fire more bullets at it. It is laughing, in a voice great enough to shake the entire world. It laughs as its face twists and distorts. I cannot give up. When the final bullet loaded in my gun hits, it finally stops laughing. This time it is face down, and I begin to crush it with my foot. Finally, it completely stops moving. This is insane. Another monster approaches from behind the corpse of the first. At this rate, all the bullets in the world would not be enough. All I can do is run. Alright, so run past the monster in front of me or run past the monster behind me? So which is the monster that's on the floor? Well, behind him probably leads back to the elevator. Yeah, I think we're going to run past the monster in front of him. I begin to run towards the monster in front of me. Evading the large swings of its knife, I run down the dark corridor, occasionally stumbling. I see a staircase leading down. I race down it, not knowing whether if something is waiting for me or not at its base. I am thinking about Cheryl. Even if she is held prisoner somewhere in this hospital, there's no guarantee that I can rescue her. In fact, there is no reason that the staircase I am descending should lead me to Cheryl. I begin to think that all my current actions are meaningless. However, generally speaking, since I arrived in Silent Hill, no, since the day before leaving for Silent Hill, no, even longer ago, since the day I met Cheryl, perhaps I've had no choice in my actions, that they have been determined by someone's will. As I continue at the base of the stairs, I contemplate, what if my life, up to this point, had been on one track? As I descend the stairs, my ears begin ringing again. The ringing is so forceful that I cannot even begin to compare it to before, and it forces me to squat down. What in the world has happened? Perhaps I opened a door to hell, a door that should never be opened. Something is clearly changing, and it's for the worse. Going back now will not be permitted. I must move forward. I put my hands together on my head, and then squeezing my temples tight by using my elbows. A ringing begins to sound like a demon whispering in my ears. However, it doesn't stop. I blindly begin to run. Even if I am to die in this mad land, I must save my beloved Cheryl first. Believing that the answers are beyond the door, I know that I must discover at least one clue. Several overlapping square figures are shaking in time with the sound of my heart. Is it the wall at the end of the area? Another wall lies perpendicular to it. There's a door present on the wall with a plate that says storehouse. Some chemicals have been placed on the table next to that door. There are 3 beakers of different sizes and a test tube. The test tube contains a liquid that is of a different color to that which is in the leftmost beaker. I found a memo. To create it, you must come up with 1 deciliter of liquid and pour it in the test tube. No more, no less. That man said that. There are no graduations on the beaker. This makes it impossible to come up with 1 deciliter using 3 large beakers. Ooh, okay. Using a 10 deciliter, 7 deciliter, and a 5 deciliter beaker, you must create an amount of exactly 1 deciliter. The door won't budge an inch. Alright, and so are we actually going to do a puzzle this time? Okay, I'm not clicking anything. This stuff is going on its own. Got it. Harry melted the chain on the door with the completed liquid. No, I'm wondering. Like I said earlier, this is a sort of like a fan remake of the play novel game. So maybe in the original GBA version of the game, the puzzles, you had to do on your own and figure them out. But maybe for simplicity's sake, the developer of this just had the puzzles solved automatically on their own. Harry melted the chain on the door with the completed liquid. The door slowly opens with a click. Inside the storehouse, nothing important looking stands out. I carefully edge between the simple metal shelves that have been placed here in a specific arrangement. However, nothing is here that makes this room worthy of being called a storehouse. I am drawn to the cabinet in the back of the room. This is because I found the presence of the wooden cabinet strange and unsuitable for this simple room. I approach the cabinet and try to open it. However, it will not budge. Well. Alright, look at the floor of the cabinet. Look inside of the cabinet. Look on top of the cabinet. Alright, what do you guys think? Alright, we're going to look inside. Putting force into my fists, I pounded the cabinet's small wooden doors until they broke. Inside there is nothing of particular value. At that time, I noticed I could feel cold air coming from behind the cabinet. And at the same time, I also noticed marks that looked like they had been left from dragging something on the floor. The marks on the floor are still fresh. They tell me that some other human probably came down here. Is there something beyond this cabinet? Using my body weight, I slowly pushed the cabinet from its original position. The existence of the inviting door behind the cabinet seemed completely natural. So of course, I placed my hand on it. The room is very inorganic. While shining my flashlight about, I move through the room and eventually discover a grate in the floor. From between the bars in the grate, I can see a staircase that leads to a lower floor. The grate makes a clunk sound as I open it. It is quite heavy. Even though I am sure of my strength, I do not believe I could pick it up. After opening the grate enough so that I can pass through it, I gently place one foot on the staircase that has appeared. Slowly and cautiously. Confirming each step as I go, I descend the staircase to a mad place in which light cannot reach. Finally, I reach a wide room, much wider than I imagined. I guess this is based on the echoes of my footsteps. I am running through this eerie space that lies in the basement of the hospital. It is lifeless and there is no light. All I can do is run through it. Does this world have an end? Or did it even have a beginning? Everywhere I go, all that I do is solve the mysteries that appear one after the other and then move on. I understand this and expect that the same situation will continue. Still, all I can do is move forward. My thinking always results in this conclusion. This door has awaited me. I slowly turn the knob. The inside of this room is different from the ones that I have encountered up to this point. I can feel life in here. There are traces and a sense that someone was in this room. I softly pick up the picture frame that was displayed on the desk. Alessa. Yep, now we get a look at her. That is engraved on the picture frame. I gaze at the picture. It is a face that I think I have seen somewhere. I try to remember as hard as I can, but in the end I cannot remember at all. But I'm sure that I have met this girl somewhere. And more than just once. A diary has been placed next to the picture frame. I reach out with my hand. Pick up the picture or pick up the diary? Haven't we already looked at the picture? Alright, well, for simplicity's sake, we're just going to pick up the diary. Something is written in the diary. April 15th. From today, this will be my new diary. Lisa secretly gave this to me as a present, and it means that soon I should be able to take off my bandages. A bird landed on a branch of the tree outside my window. I gazed at it for a bit. Seeing those beautiful colors, I thought again that it must be spring. I wish I could play outside like the other children. It is now afternoon, and they have come again. I pretend to be asleep, and it looks like they did not notice. They talk quietly as not to be heard outside my room. I do not understand the meaning of what they discussed. They never talk in this room, I thought. April 16th. Someone is talking outside my room. It sounds serious, but it does not seem to be about me. Perhaps it is because he doesn't want to disturb me. Even the hospital director has not come to see me much lately. I don't like the director very much, so I'm honestly quite happy. April 16th. P.S. By some strange chance, I learned that a certain person is coming to visit me. April 17th. Everyone has been in a rush for some reason since before sunrise this morning. Something about a dead person coming back to life. Does that really happen? It is a frightening story. Because of that, my meal was a little late. The cold soup is disappointing. Suddenly, I remembered him. Maybe he has forgotten me, but I definitely remember him. Lately, I think of him often. I want to see him. It looks like my visitor is coming in the evening on the day after tomorrow. Before then, just once. April 18th. It is finally tomorrow. I will not tell anyone about this. If I tell anyone, they will probably strap me to my bed before they arrive. The friend that can share my feelings. The only one. I wonder if she will realize this. Tonight I will go to bed early. April 19th. I must get out of here. For the first time in a while, I have worn my favorite pendant. Does it look good on me? I will write about the results here tomorrow, April 20th. The last page is blank. I place the diary under my arm and prepare to leave the room. However, my eyes once again return to the picture frame that the diary had been placed next to. She was all alone, but I have Cheryl. The girl in the picture is appealing to me for something. In the painful silence, I can feel a spiritual message. After wavering, I remove the picture from the frame and slide it into my pocket. And then I left the room. Alessa. Just who is she? And why was her picture on display in the deep basement of the hospital? And where was that strange feeling of a life that I sensed in that room coming from? I am unable to figure any of it out. And so I am irritated. I head for the examination room on the first floor. All of the mysteries of the hospital are surely prepared in that room. Believing so, I race up the stairs while having difficulty breathing. When I open the door to the examination room, I feel the presence of a person and stop moving. The inside of the room is dark. Someone is here. Who is it? Alright. Slowly approach or fire blindly into the dark room. Alright, so we're going to go with A. Approach slowly. Yep. We found a Lisa. Once the woman realized that I was a human, she ran towards me and threw her arms around me like a child would. Finally, someone else who's okay. After mumbling those words in a tearful voice, she held me more tightly. Who are you? My name's Lisa Garland. What's yours? Harry Mason. After we exchanged our simple introductions, I sat in a chair, and she sat on the bed so that we were facing each other. The woman that called herself Lisa had blonde hair and an intelligent look to her. Maybe she might know something. At the moment I was about to speak, the woman began talking. Harry, tell me what's happening here. Where is everybody? I must have gotten knocked out. When I came to, everyone was gone. Her voice did not feel like it was coming from her body. It was accompanied by a strange reverberation. It's awful. So you don't know anything either. Great. I just don't get it. It's like this is all some kind of bad dream. As I select my words, I have a feeling that even my own words are not coming from my body. Yeah, a living nightmare. Let me ask you, have you seen a little girl around here? Short, black hair, 7 years old? I mutter Cheryl in a voice that Lisa would not hear. A 7-year-old girl? What, she's your daughter? Yes. A 7-year-old girl. Can't say that I have. I was unconscious all this time. I'm sorry. That's alright. That was just as expected, but I continue asking questions without showing my disappointment. Do you know anything about all that weird stuff in the basement? No, why? Is there something down there? You don't know. Don't you work here? We're under strict orders never to enter the basement storeroom. After changing the subject to the hospital basement, I began to notice that my thoughts were becoming muddy. So I really don't know. What did you say was down there? Well, I try as hard as I can to remember the pitiful sight of that room in the basement. However, in trying to trace my memory back to then, that ringing, which had been gone for a while, returned to my ears. It sounded like the bells of that church. Runs throughout my head. Damn, my head. What's wrong? Harry? Harry, let me help you. Harry? After a while, I notice that my body is freezing cold. It is as if I am dead. But I am clearly conscious. Where is Lisa? I was definitely talking to her in this examination room. I no longer feel the evil presence that I felt in this room. No, in this entire hospital up until just before. From the window, soft light is pouring into the room. Was I dreaming? As I slowly get up, I hear the sound of a door opening. I instantly look towards the source of the sound. The creepy woman I met at the church was standing there with an expressionless look on her face. Hello, Dahlia. You were too late. It's you. Yes, Dahlia Gillespie. Tell me everything you know. What's going on? Darkness. She responded before I was even done speaking. The town is being devoured by darkness. The woman continues while maintaining a devout look. Strength must overcome petty desire. Childish sleep talk. I knew this day would come. What are you talking about? I don't understand a word of this. Believe the evidence of your eyes. So I should believe the evidence of my eyes. I understand. I am in a situation in which I can only believe what I have seen with my own eyes. The other church in this town. That is your destination. This is beyond my abilities. Only you can stop it now. Have you not seen the crest mark on the ground all over town? So that's what I saw in the schoolyard. What does it mean? It is the mark of Samael. Don't let it be completed. Hey, wait! Dahlia Gillespie. She places an oddly shaped key on the examination table with a tap, spins around and heads to the door, and then opens it. I open the door that she closed and roll out into the hospital corridor. But she is nowhere to be seen. The other church. But if I exclude the church I already visited, I don't see anything that looks like a church on the map. I slowly open the phone book attached to the payphone in the corridor. In there, a mark is presented to guide me. It is next to the phone number for an antique shop in the northeast area of the shopping district. The door to the antique shop is ominously open. The open door connects to a staircase leading down to the basement. At the end of the stairs there is another door. I insert the key I was carrying and slowly turn it. The inside of the shop is small. I take a look around using my flashlight and find the place is such a mess that it looks almost as if it has been ransacked by a thief. Is something here? At first glance, I don't think that there is anything here that concerns me. However, I did not miss that which was hidden behind a shelf. I move this shelf step by step, and an eerie passage leading into darkness appears. What's this? Harry! I look back towards the familiar voice. Sybil? Sybil, who should have left for the next town over to call for backup, was there. I'm glad you're okay. I shouldn't have left you. Things are worse than I thought. It's nuts. What are you doing here? I thought you left town. I saw you going here, so I followed you. I couldn't get out. All the roads out of town are blocked. Cars have completely stopped running. The phones and radios are still out, too. What about my daughter? Did you see her? I did see a girl. My heart began to beat faster. Was it Cheryl? I only caught a glimpse of her through the fog. I went after her, but she vanished. I don't know about your daughter, but... And you just let her go? Where was it? On Bachman Road. She was heading towards the lake. Now don't get excited. It wasn't like she ran off exactly. There's no place for her to go. The road has been obliterated. What? So then Cheryl... It was like she was walking on thin air. An uncomfortable silence occurs between the two of us. What about you? Anything? Yeah. I met this bizarre woman. Her name's Dahlia Gillespie. Do you know her? Dahlia Gillespie? No. And? She said something about the town being devoured by darkness. Gibberish like that. Any idea what it means? Darkness devouring the town. Must be on drugs. They sell them to the tourists. The force still can't figure out who's behind it. None of our leads have panned out, and the investigation is stalled. Drugs. Sybil's response was far from what I had imagined, so I shake my head back and forth. What could drug trafficking have to do with all this? I really don't know. But maybe that's the darkness she was talking about. That's all I can think of. Sybil looked slightly irritated and took a long breath. Then she shifted her gaze to the passage behind the shelf. What's this? Just discovered it. Maybe there's something back there. Let's have a look. Sybil. Alright, so will we go first? Or will we let Sybil go first? Now, in the actual Silent Hill game, we went first. So what do you think we should do now? Alright, the reactions seem to be a little mixed, but one of you does make a good point. It is only polite to let ladies go first. And she is a cop after all. I cannot beat her bravery. Even though I look like this, I am a police officer. Please trust me. I will stay here. If anything looks wrong, then yell back to me. Sybil brightly smiled and then disappeared into the darkness. Alright, now this is kind of a big departure from what happens in the main game, so I'm kind of interested to see what happens. After a bit, I was no longer able to hear the echoes of her footsteps from the passage. It looks like the passage is longer than I thought. I took another look around the disorganized antique shop. The shop in itself is just beyond the bottom of the stairs leading down from the entrance. Inside it looks like what I would expect an antique shop to look like, as it is all cozy and such. So things like that passage leading deeper in are unimaginable. Drowsiness is threatening my consciousness. It is not unreasonable. We left past midnight, and without sleeping a wink, I've been walking all over town while searching for Cheryl. I'm on the verge of falling asleep. A scream from what I think was Sybil brought me around. I know I heard it. I energetically stand up and rush into the passage. There's something at the end of the passage. Something dangerous is. I made my way into the room at the end of the passage. It is small, and the smell of something having been burnt is in the air. Once I saw an altar appear in the darkness, I realized that this is the church that Dahlia was talking about. I look around the area. An axe had been displayed on the wall, but nothing else stands out. While shaking my head, I decided to try going back through the passage I came from. At that moment, a light, bright enough to make me look away, emanates from the altar. I think I heard the sound of a giant match being struck, and then two enormous pillars of flame rose from the altar, as if a ritual were beginning or something. Even at the distance I am, I can feel the heat from those flames. My surprise in that the heat caused me to fall into a state of being barely conscious, and then I gradually lose myself, till I finally end up lying face down on the concrete floor. And the coldness that remains in the floor was drawn away by the heat as my consciousness grew distant. Eh? Are you okay? Harry? Harry? Where am I? Harry? Lisa? Then I'm in the hospital. You were having a bad dream. Was I? Hey, you don't look too good. Are you okay? I'm fine. Nothing you need to worry about. Well, if you're sure. Lisa? Do you know a woman named Dahlia Gillespie? Oh yeah, that crazy Gillespie lady. She's kind of famous around here. She never sees anybody, so I don't know that much about her. But I heard her kid died in a fire, and supposedly she's been crazy ever since. Well, she says the town is being devoured by the darkness. Do you have any idea what she's talking about? The town devoured by the darkness? Yes, I think I do. Before this place was turned into a resort, the townspeople here were on the quiet side. Everybody followed some kind of queer religion. Weird occult stuff. Black magic, that kind of thing. As young people moved away, the people figured they'd been summoned by the gods. Evidently, things like that used to happen around here all the time. Before the resort, there wasn't really anything else out here. Everyone was so flipped out. Gotta blame it on something. Then a lot of new people came in and everybody clammed up about it. A cult. Last time I heard anything about it was, gosh, years ago. When several people connected with developing the town died in accidents. People said it was a curse. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm rambling. I'll shut up. The reverberations of Lisa's "I'll shut up" remained in my ears. I wonder how long I had been asleep. I found myself in the antique shop again, lying face down in the same position I was in just a short while ago. Was that another dream? Did I pass out again? I don't want to think about it, so... But maybe this is all just going on in my head. I could have had a car accident, and now I'm lying unconscious in a hospital bed. I don't know what's real anymore. Sybil said Cheryl was heading towards the lake. But the road to the lake is blocked. Aren't there any other roads? Lisa would probably know. Although I am limited in what I can do, I still have one piece of information for finding Cheryl. So I cannot just remain here. I energetically stand up, open the door of the antique shop, and rush back out into the town. And now the town is in the other world. The town has turned into that nightmarish world. It's as if the danger of this town increases with every second. In order to find Lisa, I turn on the flashlight on my chest and begin to run at full speed. I left the antique shop with the intention of reuniting with Lisa, but I discovered that all the roads leading back to the hospital are blocked. With no other choice, I enter the shopping mall town center in the shopping district. Inside, everything has naturally changed to the other world as well. I can hear the groans of monsters in the vicinity, and it would not be surprising if they attacked at any moment. The floor has changed to metal grating, and this building looks as if it had been left in ruins for several hundred years. Large monitors have been placed in the hall at the entrance to greet shoppers. After wandering around the first floor and finding nothing interesting, I begin heading up the powered-down escalator. At that moment, suddenly light overflows from the monitors in the hall. A bound Cheryl is displayed on the screens. "Daddy, help me! Cheryl!" I turn around and run back down the escalator towards the first floor hall. The image of Cheryl on the monitors then begins to get more and more fuzzy, until it dissolves in the video static on the picture tube. And then, in place of Cheryl, an eerie crest is displayed. It looked a lot like that which I saw in the courtyard of the elementary school. I pounded on the monitors, pounded with all my strength, as if I believed Cheryl was trapped inside the picture tube. However, Cheryl's image did not appear again. I am convinced Cheryl was definitely taken away by someone and was being held by them, and she is waiting for me to rescue her. I must hurry, I say to myself. All right. Okay, so we got a choice. Do we search the second floor, or do we search the first floor? Now, Harry already said earlier that he looked around on the first floor, but he has not gone up to the second floor yet. So what do you guys think in the chat we should do? Okay, everybody says second floor, so that's where we're going. The second floor is more brutal than the first, and is completely deserted. However, I am paying attention. I can hear the sound of a liquid substance splashing from somewhere. I can sense that something not human is there. I turned towards the direction of the noise, and I began to run. And then I discovered the source of the noise. As soon as I stepped there, the section of the floor that I was standing on gives way and falls with me on top of it. I scream almost right away. Although I just fell one floor, strangely enough I am not hurt. The floor of the somewhat wide room is sandy, and is most certainly what cushioned my fall. I pick up the rifle at my feet and try readying it. As I do so, An unspeakably unpleasant tremor comes from below me, and it shakes my entire body. It is not something that I can see. I decide this because I only felt it from below me. I can clearly tell that something with a long body, like a caterpillar, is moving around below me. As I move, it moves in the same direction. So it is obvious that it is aiming for me as it moves, and then it shows itself. It is a giant caterpillar, about 5 meters long. That's freaking big. It sprays green liquid from its fierce tusk-covered mouth. I can tell that the liquid is poisonous just from looking at it. That is definitely being discharged towards me. I did not dodge it in time, so some of the liquid got on my arm. The pain is sharp. Red is rising up where the poisonous liquid got on me, as it is dissolving the components of my skin. Damn! Alright, do we shoot or do we run? Alright, most people are saying fire the rifle. I'm in danger now. I once again ready the rifle that I just picked up, and then I rain bullets into the creature that has appeared above ground. Green fluid begins to leak from its abdomen, so it twists its large body and once again burrowed underground. A steel plate is conveniently lying in the middle of the area. If I can just get on top of it, then I should be able to avoid direct attack. However, Alright, well, in this case we're just going to speed things up and he's going to jump onto the steel plate. After I moved onto the steel plate, I discovered one problem with doing so. I can no longer tell where it is coming from. I can only go with my intuition. Just where is it going to appear from? I gamble. Let's say it's going to come from the front of him. The front. I hold the rifle low and aim at the area where I think it will come out, my finger poised on the trigger. I pull the trigger at the same time I hear it come up out of the ground. However, the bullet just flies through the air. Once I realized this, it was already too late. Its giant body was towering over me from behind, with its tusks ready, brimming with poison. That poison and liquid fell upon my raised arm. Ow! I immediately turned and aimed at its abdomen and fired. Luckily, the poison liquid only burned my jacket and did not reach my skin. I pulled the trigger over and over until I ran out of bullets. As it screamed echoed, the only that kept me going as I was about to pass out was Cheryl's smiling face in my memories. I leave the town center. Perhaps the caterpillar from before was blocking my path to the hospital, as my route, which had been blocked until just before, was now restored. The entire town seemed like the insides of an enormous living thing. If a part of it was treated, then a part of it is destroyed. A part of it disappears, then a part of it appears. I get the feeling that I am wandering about with a living organism that has become a labyrinth. I open the gate to the hospital and then energetically open the door of the examination room. Inside, Lisa was waiting for me. Harry! She changes from looking completely exhausted and rushes over to me like an innocent childlike way. Glad you're okay. Thank God you came back. I was scared to be here all alone. I'm here now. I was worried too. I'm real happy to see you. I lightly hug Lisa and gently draw away. Then I speak while looking into her eyes. Lisa, can you tell me how to get to the lake? The lake? You take Bachman Road. The road's blocked. I recall what Sybil told me. Well, that's the only way out there. Are you sure? There's gotta be another way. Lisa places her hand on her chin and thinks for a bit. Then, her eyes open wide as she has realized something. Wait, I just remembered something. What? There's a waterworks over by my old elementary school. It's been abandoned for years. There's an underground tunnel out there, used for inspections or something. I remember hearing it runs all the way to the lake. Really? You think I can get to the lake from there? I've never been down there myself, so I'm not positive. Besides, it's all fenced off to keep people out. There's a chance I've got to try. Lisa embraces me again, just as I think that her face is beginning to look tearful. Harry, don't go. I don't want to be alone. It's so scary, I can't stand it. This one room in an empty hospital? In this state in which monsters could kick in the door and enter at any time? She has no weapons which to defend herself. So her being gripped with fear is only natural. What should I do? Oh, now here's an interesting one. Do we take Lisa with us? Or do we leave Lisa behind? Alright, more people seem to be interested with the idea of taking Lisa with us, so we're going to go with that. This is also something that didn't happen in the original game. I speak. How about coming with me? This may not be the safest place in the world either. I can't promise you anything, but I'll do my best to protect you. No. Somehow I feel I'm not supposed to leave this place. Oh, Harry, I'm so scared. I'm cold. I waver. Is it okay for me to leave Lisa alone? But then what will happen to Cheryl? Cheryl only has me to depend on. My concern for Cheryl cannot get compared with my concern for Lisa. After all, she's my daughter. Look, just wait here a bit longer. I'll be back as soon as I find my daughter. Perhaps those words rang cold for Lisa. But there's nothing that can be done. I must save my daughter. Harry? I leave the hospital. The water supply installation near the elementary school. I was told that I could go through those sewers and reach the lake that Cheryl was heading towards. I must hurry. As I began to run, I felt something fly over my head. It looks like something is flying in circles in the sky above me, but it's so dark I cannot see it well. I climb the metal stairs of the building across the street and then head up to the roof. Yeah, What is this? A giant moth. I guess I didn't completely kill it. That caterpillar that I shot at the town center has followed me here. Alright, so it's time for our second boss battle. And it has matured. It dances against the black sky and is looking down on me. In addition to the poison that it can discharge from its mouth, it now has a stinger with which to stick me with. I am in danger. Okay. Well, while somebody in the chat is telling me to get Godzilla, that is unfortunately not an option. We can either hide in the shadows, or we can fight it. Well, just to speed things up a little bit, we're going to fire the rifle while avoiding it. I fire the rifle. However, it is adept in the air and evades my aim, leaving the bullet only to hit only air before being swallowed by the darkness. Calm down, I told myself. I must focus on only one target. Okay, so you can aim at the head, the wings, or the abdomen. Now, most survival horror games would tell us take out the head. But Harry is not a good shot. So I think, like usual, we're going to aim for center mass. While dodging it, I point the barrel of the gun at the soft area below its chest. It adeptly used its large wings to pursue me, but eventually its strength runs out, and it falls between two buildings. Green liquid leaks from its insides, and its screams echo throughout the town. The nightmare still continues. After passing through the sewers connected to the water supply installation near the elementary school, I came up in the most popular part of Silent Hill, the lakeside tourist spot. However, in spite of this, there is no reason to expect anyone to be here. The area is wrapped in darkness, and in a condition in which it would be impossible to even walk around without a flashlight. Now, I'm kind of surprised. In the original version of the game, after you beat the moth boss, you had to go through the sewers, and there was a little dungeon down in the sewers with monsters you had to fight. I'm actually really surprised they didn't include that. The area is wrapped in darkness, and in a condition in which it would be impossible to even walk around without a flashlight. First, I decide to enter Annie's bar, which lies on the road to the lake. As I approach the door, I notice what sounds like a struggle coming from the other side. I open the door. Inside, Kaufman is there. Dr. Michael Kaufman. That is certainly what he said his name was. A monster has him cornered. His back against the far wall of the bar, and he is out of breath. He did not notice me come into the bar, and looked as if he had lost all hope. I pointed my gun at the monster and fired. Even after the monster had died, with a cry like a metallic twisting, Kaufman just stared into the air, looking completely worn out. Are you okay? As I spoke to him, he weakly stood up, brushed his pants twice, and then slowly looked towards me. Yeah, I guess so. But I'm beat. I thought I was a goner there. So how'd it go? Did you find a way out? No, not yet. How about you? Zip. But it's too soon to give up. This craziness can't go on forever. A military rescue squad should be here any time now. If they come through the town, we're home free. He looked at the darkness outside the window and clenched his fists. I hope so. I say, I better get going. This isn't the time to be standing around flapping our gums. He fixed his collar and then began to walk out the door. He walked as if he were incredibly hungry, When he reached the door, I asked him the question that had been on my mind for quite some time. Kaufman? Oh, okay. Do we ask him about Alessa, or do we show him the picture of Alessa? Now, I think we should probably show him the picture, because if nothing else, that's a physical thing that he has to acknowledge, as opposed to just asking him about it and he can kind of casually dismiss it. Yeah, let's go with B. Do you know this girl? His hand, which he had placed on the doorknob, paused for a moment, and then he looked back at me. I hold the picture of Alessa in my hand. Upon seeing it, a look of horror appears on Kaufman's face and he freezes. You. Just who in the hell are you? I was unable to understand the meaning of his question. In the next instant, Kaufman turned and then left the room as if he were sucked through the door. Dr. Michael Kaufman. He definitely has some secret. While I'm not sure whether it is connected to me rescuing Cheryl or not, he knows the main reason why this town has undergone a transformation. I followed him so that he did not notice me. He races through the dark alleys. Perhaps it is because he is familiar with the geography here. The sound of the harsh wind blowing down from the mountains as it cuts through the eaves of the buildings hides my footsteps and my presence. I continued to carefully tail him, making sure not to lose sight of him. Finally, his small figure opened a door of a certain building and he disappeared inside. He went into a motel, but not into one of the guest rooms. The door he went through is one that is off limits to outsiders and is only used by the employees. I press down on my heart, which feels like it is going to explode. With my left hand, I open the door that Kaufman just used and head inside. So this is an optional part of the first game that this game seems to be having us go through automatically. Inside, ancient dust is everywhere, and the room reeks of mildew. It looks to be a garage. Oil, a sprayer, tires, and such have been placed on a dirty metal shelf. Odd. Kaufman is nowhere to be found. There's only one other door in the room, and it is slightly open. He must have went through there into another room. However, I did not go after him right away. Instead, my attention turned to the motorcycle near the wall, and I stopped. The gas tank of the motorcycle differs from the rest of the motorcycle, as it is oddly clean and shiny. The motorcycle is so covered in dust that it is not possible to even distinguish what color it is. But I get the feeling that the gas tank area alone has been fiddled with by someone. I tried gently opening the gas tank. Inside the gas tank, there's a black vinyl bag that is protecting a small glass bottle. At that moment, I was about to reach out to it, and a familiar voice stopped me. Give me that. When I turned, Kaufman was just glaring at me, his face white with anger. His clenched fists are shaking with rage. What is this? That's none of your business. Instead of messing with that, how about coming up with a way to get out of here? Humph. You shouldn't be hanging around here goofing off. What do you think you're doing? You want to get yourself killed? Get out of here. Even if he had not said that, I understood. I didn't know just how important this small bottle was to him, but I didn't think that it would help me to find Cheryl, so I gave it to him. Okay, take it easy. Unless you want to die, keep your mind on business. Got it. Saying that, Kaufman acts calm and leaves the garage. I think, that guy's got to be involved with the local drug racket. Man, he was pissed. And such a rush, too. That was probably dope in the bottle. Anyway, better let him do as he pleases. There's more than my life at stake. Then I realize that I'm wasting time, and I immediately leave the hotel. I check the map, then head to the greatest part of this sightseeing area, the lakeside. My visible breath brushes on my cheeks, drifting in the air as if to mark my trail, and then finally becoming one with the air around it. And then the area gradually begins turning into that nightmarish world. I abruptly come to a stop. This time the change is not instant like before. This town, this world seems like it is being dumped into a demon's body, and I am filled with a feeling that there is no going back. Something has changed, in a way that cannot be undone. There's a road before me, so I run along it. That is all I can do. Is there any hope? Is Cheryl alive? In this situation in which I cannot be sure of anything, I frequently have to fight off the urge to get sick. However, I believe that I will find something if I continue forward on this road. I run across a pier, and without thinking about it, I wrench the door of a small boat stopped midway along the pier open and rush inside. There was already a passenger inside the boat. Sybil! Harry! Our voices revealed that we were both relieved. How did you get back here? Oh, pardon me? I followed the sewer. Were you the one who cut the fence? Yeah. I'm glad you made it. I was worried about you. You were worried? Where did you disappear to? Never mind. I want to know what's going on here. What is it with this town? I condensed all the things that had happened to me into one somewhat unclear conclusion. I look at Sybil and begin to speak. This may sound really off the wall, but listen to me. You've got to believe me. I haven't gone crazy, and I'm not fooling around. At first, I thought I was losing my mind. But now I know I'm not. It's not me. This whole town, it's being invaded by the other world. By a world of someone's nightmarish delusions come to life. Little by little, the invasion is spreading, trying to swallow up everything in darkness. I think I'm finally beginning to understand what that lady was talking about. Harry, hold on a minute. I don't get it. Look, I don't understand it all myself. I guess I can't explain it. I honestly revealed how I felt. Well, what's making this happen? I don't know that either. But I do know Cheryl is there. There? Under whoever created this darkness. Cheryl is somewhere. And she needs my help. Once I finished explaining everything, Sybil faintly smiled and looked at me as if she was worried. Harry, this whole thing's been a major blow to you. You need to rest. I was let down. This world, its state, and the reason it became like this, I understood, and I wanted Sybil to understand as well. Even though I'm a writer, I am cursed by a limited vocabulary. This is something that upsets me about myself. Sybil, As I was speaking, the door slowly opened and I could see someone enter the room. It was not a monster, but a human. The demon is awakening, spreading those wings. Dahlia Gillespie. Was it not as I said? I see it all now. Yes, everything. Hungry for sacrifice, the demon will swallow up the land. I knew this day would come. And what's more, the task is almost finished. There's only two left. To seal this town to the abyss, the mark of Samael. When it is completed, all is lost. Even in daytime, darkness will cover the sun. The dead will walk, the martyrs will burn in the fires of hell. Everyone will die. So what am I supposed to do? I've got to save Cheryl. It is simple. Stop the demon. The demon. The demon taking that child's form. Stop it before your daughter becomes a sacrifice. Before it is too late. Stop it. Stop it. I just started getting flashes of Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. What do I do? Go to the lighthouse on the lake and to the center of the amusement park. Make haste. You're the only hope. Look, Harry, I really don't get what's going on. But if there's a chance we can save your daughter, I'm in. I'll check out the amusement park. You go to the lighthouse. Sybil? Alright, so we can either go with what Sybil said and go to the lighthouse, or we can decide to go to the amusement park. What do you think in the chat? Alright, well, it seems like people want us to go to the lighthouse. Not the lighthouse, they want us to go to the amusement park. As usual, I pretended to go along with what Sybil is saying and nodded. I cannot let Sybil go alone. Okay, I see what Harry wants to do. He's going to follow her. Even if she is a cop, it would be terrible if something were to happen to her while she is trying to help my daughter. I waited for a little bit and then headed after Sybil. I decided that I could always go to the lighthouse later. With a current of guessing that raced by like a revolving lantern, I ran towards the amusement park. Oh, okay. Alright, select A if you scooped up the red liquid in the hospital. Select B if you picked up the kitchen knife, or if you scooped up the blue or purple liquid. Alright, so we did pick up the red liquid, so we're going to select A. Alright, now in the original game, Harry of course went to the lighthouse. And he got there and the symbol was already there, at which point then he turned around and went to the amusement park. I arrive at the amusement park by going through the sewers. In the amusement park, which has changed to the form of the other world. Several of the attractions runs constantly as if they were broken toys. I pass by the Ferris wheel and arrive at the merry-go-round. However, only this attraction is not running. While it is only natural for a ride not to be in operation, it seems unnatural for this merry-go-round not to be running. I walk around it. While slipping between the horses, I look for Sybil. Quite a bit of time has passed since she came here. I suppose maybe she didn't find Cheryl and headed back to that ship. But the only way to get here is through the sewers. If she had gone back, then we would have ran across each other at some point. Huh? What is this? I slowly kneel down and try touching it. The dark green liquid is still warm. Something moved through here. And if this trail is traced, it will lead back to the source of the liquid. And then, in the darkness, I see Sybil from behind. Sybil? I try calling out to her. Only the low sound of the motor of the Ferris wheel echoes from afar. She should be able to hear me. I take another look at her. She slowly stood up from the wheelchair. Odd. I do not see the brave attitude that was present in her just before. She walks as if something had drained all the life out of her, like she is wandering about for no reason. I approach her, and I call out to her once more. As I do this, Sybil staggers as she slowly turns and confirms my presence. And then, as if I am watching her in slow motion, she raises her right arm until it is parallel with the ground, and then a bullet fires from the handgun she is holding. Sybil, it's me, Harry! The bullet grazes my shoulder, and with a discordant metallic sound, hits one of the wooden horses. She is coming towards me. Her eyes no longer appear to be human. The eerie red color of her eyes does not make it look like her life force has been drained, but instead, it makes her appear as she has been possessed by some evil being. I was too late, I think. Her heart had been devoured by someone. Not by Alessa. What is there is no longer Sybil, just an alter ego of Alessa that is using Sybil's body. At that time I remembered. I searched my pockets. Got it. The plastic bottle. The vermilion liquid is inside it. I scooped it up at the hospital. The red of Sybil's eyes looked a lot like the red of that liquid. I hold up the plastic bottle so that Sybil can see it and shake it left and right. And then, just for a moment, her expression changed to one of imploring. She must be aware. But she seems to be caught on an edge in her body that will not do her bidding. It's like she is being attracted to me. With her gun ready, Sybil approaches. Upon closer inspection, I can see that her eyes are full of tears. I unscrew the cap of the plastic bottle. No one is riding the wooden horses, so their speed increases. I think that it is like time is rapidly passing for everything but the two of us. At the same time as the hammer falls in Sybil's gun with a click, I sprinkle the liquid in the plastic bottle on Sybil without leaving a drop inside. Sybil tries to speak, and her face twists with agony. At the same time, white smoke rises from her entire body, and gravity pulls her to the ground, face down. And then, a creepy creature that is shaped like a human organ burrows out of Sybil's back and approaches my feet. I forcefully crush it under my foot with all my might. Sybil, wake up. Snap out of it. Sybil doesn't respond. Sybil! After a bit, Sybil opened her eyes. Her eyes are a calm blue. Harry? What happened? Shh, don't talk. I'll take care of you. A look of relief appears on her face, and then she closes her eyes again. Once I am done binding her wound, I close my eyes as well, and place my hand on Sybil's shoulder. Harry, why did they take your daughter? Why her? I'm not sure myself, but you know, Cheryl isn't my biological daughter. I actually haven't told her yet. She probably already knows anyway, though. We found her abandoned on the side of the highway. She was still a baby and nobody knew where she came from. We didn't have any kids of our own. My wife was sick, and it didn't look like she was getting any better. So we took Cheryl in. So in that case, there might be some connection between Cheryl and this town. So what do you do now? Cheryl is my daughter. I will save her, no matter what. I slowly opened my eyes. And then, just as I had predicted, she appeared. Alessa. The girl that wrapped up this town and its residents in her other world. The girl that carefully formed her body from out of the light and appeared right in front of me. I began to talk to that demon. I figured you'd show. Hold it right there. I don't know who you are, or what you're trying to do, and I don't care. Just one thing. Let Cheryl go. That's all I ask. Before I finish speaking, Alessa raises her right hand towards the sky. And then she brings her arm down, and my entire body is blown backwards. My body tumbles across the ground like a rag for about 30 meters, and then finally comes to a rest. Damn! Such incredible power. A servant of God? A demon's power? A normal person like me has no chance against her. Power is gushing out of her body, and it emits a pale light. I cannot even approach her. Huh? What is this? Suddenly, a blinding light emits from my pocket. It's that four-sided object, the Flauris. Light shoots out in a straight line from each of the points of the triangle, and eventually rises up into the air. Just as I had thought, that the great light and the sound it was wrapped in meant that its power was greater than Alessa's. The power of the Flauris condensed and became a beam of light and pierced Alessa's body. Just as I was just before, Alessa was blown backwards by that power, which she could not overcome. Where's Cheryl? Give me back my daughter. I was on the verge of passing out, and I thought of Cheryl. All I can do is calmly look at the unbelievable sight before me as it unfolds before my eyes. What just happened? Is Cheryl okay? However, she does not answer me. Instead, a hoarse voice passes into my thoughts, and is accompanied by the sound of footsteps. We meet at last, Alessa. Dahlia Gillespie. Unable to move from my prone position, I thought about whose voice that was, and then using all my strength I stand. After confirming that it was Dahlia in front of me, I spoke in a voice that was nearly a yell. Where's Cheryl? Where is she? Dahlia does not hear me yelling. She does not look back and looks at Alessa with a creepy smile. Alessa, this is the end of your little game. Mama? Mother? I'm confused. Huh? Could she be? You've been a ghastly little pest, haven't you, Alessa? I was careless, thinking you couldn't escape from our spell. But Mommy didn't know how much you'd grown. That's why I couldn't catch you all by myself. But what a pity, yes? Now you're half indebted to this man for his help. Hey, what are you talking about? My voice just echoes emptily in the darkness. Alessa, my dear little girl, there's one thing left I need you to do for me. No, get away from me. Bad girl. Everything is ready. Let's go home. Uh-huh. Wait. What about Cheryl? Just where is she? Give me back my daughter. My daughter. Cheryl. Okay, so we did not go to the lighthouse. We went after Sybil in the amusement park, so we're going to pick B. Hey, it's Lisa. Lisa, what happened? Where's Alessa and Dahlia? Harry, since before, I went to check out the basement like you said. Lisa? I was on the verge of passing out, but now I'm slowly getting more and more wide awake. Lisa, you went to check out the basement? Yes, even though I was told never to go there. It was on my mind. I swallowed hard. Alright, so should we listen to her story, or should we change the subject? Alright, it looks like we're going to listen to more of her story. And then, Lisa looks down a bit and then continues to speak. Hey, Harry, do you know a man called Kaufman? The image of the pudgy man I had met several times came to mind. Yeah, I have met him a few times. I believe he's a doctor at this hospital. Lisa raised her head in surprise, and her eyes opened wide. Then she let out a long sigh. Yes. For a long time I thought that there was something strange about it. Lately, especially that. I adjusted my sitting position and looked at Lisa as if I could see through her. Especially. I'm working as his assistant at this hospital. As for what's in any room, I should know better than him. But I must know better. But when I learned that this hospital had a basement, by strange chance he suddenly got angry. He told me never to go near there. I was scared, so I never brought that subject up again. But then he changed. It wasn't just the way he treated me, but he was also irritated with everyone else, and no one wanted to go near him. That was around last summer. I quietly listened to Lisa's story. After that, he began saying things that did not make a lot of sense. Things like, "This is the end of the world," and "descent," and so on. Stuff that sounded like weird religious terms. That all humans would disappear from the world, and only he would survive. That the landscapes seen by our eyes were all false. He said nothing but things like that. And then, he killed himself. What? I was stunned. Suicide? Yes, he set himself on fire. Oh boy. The body was unidentifiable. I pressed my hands down on my trembling legs. That's impossible. I just met Kaufman and spoke with him not long ago. Just who was that man? Lisa looks amazed and smiles wryly while shaking her head from side to side. I took a deep breath. Okay, so Kaufman was alive? Okay, maybe he switched bodies. Or did we mistake him for the man we met? Now, this is kind of interesting. The game does not go like this at all. So this is something that seems to be different for the play novel. And it might be because of the decisions we made. But what do you think we should pick, A or B? Okay, people seem to suggest A, so let's go with that. Maybe he switched the bodies? I don't know. But people have come forth that say that they have seen him recently. On top of that, they say it was inside this hospital. I was at a loss for words. Don't tell me that even you have had contact with him? I recall my conversation with him. A dream? No, I don't think that was a dream. So, he's in the basement? I thought that as well. So I fearfully went down to the basement. But after moving just a bit forward, I turned back. Just thinking about him being alive in that darkness was too dreadful. As Lisa said this, a tear rolled down her cheek. I placed my hand on Lisa's shoulders and made up my mind. Like I've told you before, I am looking for my daughter Cheryl. I don't know who the Kaufman guy really is, but does he know something about the change in this town? Lisa doesn't answer. Lisa, come with me to the basement. That might be where Cheryl is being held. Even if Cheryl is not there, if we find Kaufman, then we might be able to talk to him. Lisa thought for a bit and slightly nodded. Okay, let's go then. Using the flashlight to light our way, Lisa and I walked downstairs and headed to the storehouse in the basement. We entered the hidden room in the back of the storehouse and opened the heavy iron gate in the center. Lisa headed in first, and I followed behind her. It's cold, Lisa mumbles to herself. It seemed as if we had ended up lost in a giant refrigerator. I couldn't imagine that a person could live down here. I thought about that again. If Cheryl is being held down here... My body trembled. We finally reached the end of the passage. A solid-looking metal door towers in front of us. I've never gone any further than this. Lisa's voice was shaking as she spoke. Lisa and I looked at each other and lightly nodded. I placed my hand on the handle of the door. The skin on the palm of my hand was so frozen by the cold metal that I thought that my hand would get stuck to the handle. Lisa took a step back. I looked at the door, put my weight into my hands, and opened the door with one pull. The door opened with a thunk. Beyond it, a passage no different than the one we had just followed extended. It is completely pitch black in there, and without my flashlight, it seems that it would be utterly impossible to continue forward. I cannot understand why someone made this space so deep in the hospital basement. Look, Lisa said. Lisa? What's wrong? Wait a minute, Harry. There's something drawn on the wall. I stopped and shined the flashlight on the wall that Lisa was pointing at. This is... A familiar crest was drawn there. Does this mean something? Lisa, since you have not left the hospital, you wouldn't know, but this crest has been drawn all throughout this town. Have you not seen it before? Lisa looked surprised and muttered, No. The crest was also drawn on the floor. Upon closer inspection, I found that the mark had been inscribed in all places all throughout this passage. The mark of Samael. I recall that that is what Dahlia called it, and then my body trembled. Alessa. Is Alessa here? In this area? Eh? For an instant we looked at each other in the faint light that was lighting the darkness. What did you just say? I said, is Alessa here? Lisa's face suddenly twisted in anger. Why do you know about her? No one should have told you. I was thrown off balance by Lisa's sudden rage. I saw her several times before I met you. She called Dahlia Mama. Are those two mother and daughter? Lisa looked down and her shoulders shook with anger. I had no idea why. What in the world? Just what is wrong with you? I can no longer trust anyone. Lisa? I only did as I was told. Like a true believer like a true believer obedient to the scripture, I continued even though I lost everything. What are you talking about? However, after all this, there's no such thing as God. They're only ugly humans ruled by desire. Lisa said that and then forcefully pounded on the wall. So you know something. Won't you tell me, please, Lisa? Lisa smiles a bit, and then a creepy expression appears on her face. You too. You're the same as them, aren't you? Thinking that you know everything. Even now. Alright, so. Do we ask who are they? Or do we show her Alessa's diary? Now, to be honest with you, I kind of want to show her the diary. Because I'm of the opinion that she gave Alessa the diary. Alright, well the chat seems to agree. Let's show her the diary. Here, look at this. Lisa suspiciously snatches it. April 15th. From today, this will be my new diary. Lisa secretly gave this to me as a present. And it means that it means that soon I should be able to take my bandages off. A bird landed on the branch of a tree outside my window. I gazed at it for a little bit. Seeing those beautiful colors, I thought again that it must be spring. I wish I could play outside like the other children. It is now afternoon, and they have come again. I pretended to be asleep, and it looks like they did not notice. They talk quietly as not to be heard outside my room. I did not understand the meaning of what they discussed. They never talk in this room, I thought. Lisa raises her head in surprise, and I ask her a question. They. Do you mean the ones written about in there? Where on earth did you get this? In Alessa's room. So she kept a diary. She even wrote about me. Lisa smiled a bit. Anyway, are they the people that Alessa wrote about in there? Lisa, please tell me what you know. Before I finish talking, Lisa shakes her head back and forth. It's fine. I was used by that man, I know that. Maybe you are in cahoots with him, or maybe you were used as well. I don't care. Now that I know, I will have my revenge. I continue to believe that she really was Alessa. I never thought that even that was a lie. Used or not, I don't know what you're talking about. And then Lisa's face twisted in amazement. No, don't come. Only did what I was told. Lisa's sight was fixed on someone behind me. Lisa? Why have you come for me? Shouldn't you be going after someone else? You have no reason to have a grudge against me. I timidly turned around, and at that moment, my flashlight went out, and the area was wrapped in absolute darkness. Kya! The scream echoed off the concrete walls. There's no mistaking it. It was Lisa's. Something is here. I have not heard Lisa since she screamed, but I can hear a low howling and an unpleasant sound that sounds like something crutching on something. It is coming from somewhere very close to me. Alright, do we move towards the sound or do we run away? Now me, I want to move towards the sound. I want to see what that is. I hope we'll get to see what it is. Alright, we're going to move towards the sound. Lisa? There's no response. Every now and then an uncomfortably warm liquid splashes on my arm. It is sticky and smells like blood, and it is extremely unpleasant. I take a few steps back, and then I decide to try getting away. After a few steps, I have no idea which way I came from. Even so, I continue to run. I try mindlessly fiddling with a switch on my flashlight. It only makes a clicking sound. There's no sign that it will turn on. All I can do is run blindly. Those unintelligible things Lisa kept babbling about. Lisa's attitude suddenly changed at the very moment I said Alessa's name. In cahoots? One of them? I don't understand. Is it that I too am being controlled by someone? What was it that was behind me? What was that existence that frightened Lisa that much? And where is Cheryl? I don't know anything anymore. What if Lisa said was true, and Kaufman might be somewhere down here in the basement? He is said to have killed himself. However, I just saw him in the bar and we spoke. At the moment I found the small bottle in the gas tank of the motorcycle, he gave me a furious look and yelled at me. There is no doubt he is alive, and he must know something. An essential key regarding what is wrong with this town and Alessa's existence. Thud. I ran right into the wall in front of me, bounced off it and fell backwards. Ouch. And then by chance my light begins to pour out of my flashlight. I rubbed the area around my lower back, stood up, and then shined the light on the wall that was blocking my path. The mark of Samael. It was drawn very large on the door. It has the power to deny the invasion of heretics. I shine the light around the area, but the circumstances are unexplainable. was trapped inside of a cramped cube, about 2 meters across. The path I ran through to get here has suddenly vanished. In order to escape, I can only open this heavy door. I was no longer surprised. Or rather, my mind was paralyzed. I was no longer able to be surprised. Perhaps saying it like that is best. What should be and what should not be have become reversed. I open the door in front of me, or I let my body go with the flow. That's an odd one. Let my body go with the flow. Now, I'm pretty sure both of these are going to have us opening the door. But I think B is more of him kind of letting whatever force is controlling him do it. Well, I think A is probably more along the lines of him making a conscious decision. So I want to go with A. I place my hand on the door. It opens much easier than I thought it would. An entrance to the deepest area. Dazzling light escapes from the inside, and I place my hands over my face and squint. Ooh. But it was already too late. My body bounced like a ball and smashed in the face of a rock several meters behind me. The vehicle that hit me crashed through the guardrail and fell down the side of the cliff. After seeing that, my mind completely shut down, and all the elements that formed me returned to nothingness. Wow. I'm actually a little stunned. I'm not entirely sure what to say. I guess we got one of the bad endings. Wow, that took a while. But that was, wow. That was kind of interesting. I like seeing the different directions that the game took compared to the original. Well, that ending is kind of disappointing. I'm really interested in what was going on with Lisa there at the end. Because I didn't mention this earlier, but Play Novel was developed by Team Silent, and it was released in 2001, so most of the original team should have still been there. Alright. Now I think if we look at the credits, we're just going to see what we already saw. Now if I select Scenario, yeah, we can either play Harry or we can play Sybil. Alright, save, load, hide message. I'm not sure what hide message is. And skip. Alright, well, that is going to do it for now. But in the next time we get together, we're going to try Sybil's scenario and see what happens. And I might do a little bit more research into this version of the game and try to figure out what's been going on and what happened. Hang on, you know what? Let's save. I don't know what difference it will make, if any, but might as well just to be careful. Yeah, it says something. After seeing that, my mind completely shut down, and all the elements that formed me. So I guess that's just saying one of the endings we got. Credits? Yeah. Well, alright everybody, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed our trip through Silent Hill the Play novel. And when we get together next time, we'll take a look at Sybil's scenario. Thanks for watching.